So I really asked Michael Caputo, former top Trump advisor, and of course Roger Stone, former head of his campaign, to just take over this final segment. Because if they pause, I'll run rampant here and just give us other tidbits. And I said, Caputo and Stone, what are you talking about? And they said, well, what's next? Indictment of Jared Kushner, but also midterms 2018. Because 2016 is our beachhead, 2018 is key. Say what you want about Roy Moore. He got the election stolen from him. That's been proven. So I think election fraud is going to be the key to what they do. So, guys, go ahead and have a free-for-all for the 10 minutes we have left here.
All right. Well, I'm happy to dive in. Look, I think Mueller has had as bad a month of December as the president had good. His entire probe is exposed as the partisan witch hunt that it is. His hit squad is exposed as exactly that. And now the only way that he can regain the upper hand is through the guilty plea of General Mike Flynn, who I believe is a great, great patriot. Flynn has been jammed up in a process crime. There's nothing illegal or improper regarding his outreach to the Russians to set up a meeting. In case you haven't been paying attention, folks, the Russians have thermonuclear weapons. Not speaking to them would be very, very dangerous. But we do know that Flynn has said publicly that a senior member of the president's transition team instructed him to reach out to the Russian ambassador. That can only be Mr. Kushner. Let me stress again, even if Jared Kushner did do that, that's a perfectly appropriate legal function of the transition and a counselor to the president. Yet we know that the FBI has grilled Kushner for hours. And therefore, the question becomes, do they try to jam him up with some kind of process crime, like they did with Flynn, in an attempt to inflame the president and induce the president to fire Mueller, or perhaps to pardon both Kushner and Flynn?
Well, clearly that was their admitted plan. They've telegraphed it with all their talking points on CNN. But now, Michael Caputo, it seems to be blowing up as it's, I mean, even mainstream publications admit it's all a frame-up of Trump. I mean, are they crazy enough to go forward with this? What comes next?
Well, I think it's interesting. I don't just count the tea leaves that are there. I look for the ones that aren't there. And you know what's not there? After all these stories about what Flynn did and what the coffee boy Papadopoulos did, we've seen very little about Jared Kushner. And the question, you know, we also see that the Kushner and his legal team were out shopping for a public relations firm. So it appears they are looking, you know, forward into 2018 and seeing a more serious fight on their hands as well. So the lack.
Oh, absolutely. They plan to indict Kushner next. I don't think they got the huevos to do it to Donald Jr. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I just think the lack of news on Kushner shows to me that he's probably, his time in the barrel is coming in this new year. And that's unfortunate, but, you know, he appears to be their new target. We also see in this New York Times story, as many errors as I saw in it, we also see that Papadopoulos was somebody who was running absolutely amok. And if you believe what the New York Times is saying, he was doing things that were, you know, and the one thing that's, the two things that are very much missing from that New York Times story is there's no mention of anyone who carried his water to the president, or that he actually connected.
Well, yeah, he's like this low-level guy that keeps going, let's meet with the Russians. They're like, shut up. Russians, they don't matter. It's like hundreds of times. He was obvious. It looks to me like he was a plant from the beginning. I mean, you read those transcripts. Does it not look like he's a plant from the beginning?
It does.
He's either a plant or he's just stupid. Let's be clear. He's a volunteer. He has no authority. He's not on the payroll. He doesn't have a pass.
Sure, but he's like a wind-up doll. He just goes, meet with the Russians, and they're like, shut up, kid. Russians aren't. I mean, it's like there's nothing there.
Some of the interesting parts of the story were that it was very clear from the New York Times story that everybody in the campaign thought this guy was stupid, that he was foolishly enthusiastic, and that he had terrible ideas. And it comes through in the story as well. I think they also in that story said that Sessions, I believe it was, wanted to move away from his ideas because there was no way, if they were ever going to meet with the Russians, that they would do so through the auspices of a young and inexperienced person like Papadopoulos. So some of that.
Well, exactly. That's the meetings I'm saying where Sessions is like, Russians. What it's like talking about, just random crap.
But let's play it out here. See, what they would like to have happen is the president, first of all, it's not inconsistent because the indictment of Kushner would be not related to Russian collusion. It would be related to lying to the FBI.
Right.
Then they hope that the president will overreact and fire Mueller. This is their Briarpatch strategy. They are so naked.
Please throw
to
us.
have Congresswoman Jackie Speier, rhymes with liar, running around saying, oh, the rumors everywhere, Trump is going to fire Mueller. They want him to fire
So let me ask you both. Let me ask Michael Caputo here as we end this year's transmissions. Clearly, it's falling apart. How do they extricate themselves with face shaving, or is all this face shaving a ploy for what they're really about to do with Russiagate? Is it dead, or does it still have legs? Michael Caputo.
I think that the House and Senate investigations, the multiple investigations over in Congress there, are going to wind down. You'll see Representative Smear and Representative Schiff spending a lot of time screaming about it to the press because they've gotten a free ride in the media for quite some time. I believe we'll see Mueller's investigation wind down necessarily too, with maybe even some more process crimes accused and prosecuted. But in the end, I think the net that they're gonna come up with is just going to have one Papadopoulos in it and nobody else. Because I believe Manafort and Gates are going to break free of these allegations. And I believe General Flynn, when we find out what Agent Strzok did and how he tricked him into this alleged interview where he lied, I think that's going to come out in the wash as well.
I totally agree. But, they never give up, even though they're getting their ass kicked politically, you name it. If America doesn't roll over like Bernie Sanders did when they stole the nomination, when Hillary did, we're going to win. But if we roll over, that's the bottom line. I had the crew run out to the local grocery store to get a bottle of champagne here at the end because I didn't have any alcohol when Roger was drinking his dry martini. But to Mike Caputo and to Roger Stone and to Donald Trump and to our listeners, most importantly, we're not perfect, but we're not out to screw you over. We're not out to set up some, Venezuelan or North Korean hellhole because we're a bunch of, 1 inch, long people that hate everybody. So happy New Year to everybody. And I want to give you both a 1-minute comment here at the end. But to my crew and all of you and the listeners, I love you. And I am so proud to be associated with people that are pro-freedom and pro-America. So to all of you, to Mr. Caputo and Mr. Stone and the great crew here, God bless you, gentlemen. Each of you, Mr. Caputo first, a 1-minute final comment here as we go into 2018.
Well, 2017 has been hell for a lot of people. It's been difficult in a lot of ways, but we sure came out of it strong. I've always known Donald Trump to finish strong when he's in the midst of a difficult business battle. And he ended 2017, I think, with one for the record books. With what he did with regulations, cutting 900+ regulations, installing Gorsuch and a dozen appeals court justices, he's achieved more in 1 year than many presidents have in their first year. And he comes out of it, depending upon what poll you believe, with just about the same poll rating that Barack Obama did in his first year. That doesn't sound great to me, though, because in my book, 2018 is going to be a big challenge. We can get there. The campaign geniuses in Washington have to come to terms with some unfortunate facts. But what they can't do, and they should never do, is, let's say, abandon and kick out of the party the Bannons, the Breitbarts, the InfoWars, the Fox News, the grassroots, the people who elected
exactly. We've got a huge year ahead of us. If we go to sleep, the globalists could win. If we stay awake, we win. Roger Stone, let's both here toast to you and the audience, everybody. I salute you. We got 30 seconds left. Final comment going into 2018.
Well, Alex, look, I want to salute you because you had the courage and the foresight to be for Donald Trump when people like Glenn Beck were saying, oh, he's a disaster, he's a sure loser. And you never wavered. Well, I remember talking to you the day the NBC Billy Bush tape dropped. You never wavered. You said, we're going to get over this. We're going to win this thing. And you were right.